So now we're going to do some where we have a whole number base. Well, what is the reciprocal of a negative 9?
1/9.
1/9, negative 1/9, because that sign's not going to disappear, right? I'm going to write it like this, because negative 9 is really negative 9 over 1, so the reciprocal would be 1 over negative 9. I'm then going to square that. Now, if you look at the IE6 thing, they're only going to put the squaring by the negative 9, because 1 to any power always stays 1, and they know that. Technically, the whole thing is squared, but 1 squared is 1, so they just leave it off of there because they know it's supposed to be 1. So when you look at their explanation and they do that, that's why, because they know it's going to be 1. If I take negative 9 and square it, what am I going to get?
Negative 81.
Negative times a negative? Positive 81, right? When you take negative 9 times negative 9, you get a positive 81. So again, if I wanted to check that with my calculator, I use the parentheses around the negative 9 to the negative 2 power. Go ahead and punch that one in. Did you not get it typed in there right, or what was that left?
I thought I did.
Negative 9. Oh, what in the heck? Why is that coming up as a decimal and not a fraction? Well, let's put it as a fraction. I don't know why it came up as a decimal unless you got your mode switched. Let me switch your mode back into normal mode. Now try it. Unless you use the dividing instead of the fraction. Maybe that's what you did. Did you use your fraction button or did you use the dividing button?
Use my fraction.
Okay. Still coming up as a decimal?
Mm-hmm.
Hit shift in the fraction button then.
Fraction.
See, good thing we try these things out. So if you do get the decimal like you are, then you have to do shift in the fraction button to change it into the fraction instead of the decimal. For some reason the calculator wants to default into a decimal because we're working with a whole number to start with, I'm assuming. So, number 11, if we go on top the next page there, we want to do negative 8 to the negative 1 power. First of all, getting rid of the negative exponent, we would do the reciprocal of negative 8, which would be 1 over negative 8. That's going to make that to the first power. So if it's to the first power, you're just going to get negative 1/8, right? Again, with fractions, if I do have a negative, they don't like the negative on the bottom. They'll put the negative in front of the fraction instead of down in the bottom of the fraction. If you put it in the bottom, it'll just say it's correct, however. So number 12, if I want to do negative 4 to the negative 3rd power.
1/4. Negative 1/4.
1 over negative 4 to the 3rd, right? Or negative 1/4 to the 3rd, which gives you
Negative 1 over 64.
negative 1 over 64.